What's up, y'all? This is Christ Coach of the podcast. I'm Key.
And I am Bree.
Y'all, we got Bree on the mic today for the season finale. It's lit. We have a really good combo today.
We do.
What are we talking about, girl?
We talked about not focusing on the next thing and just enjoying right now and being present.
We talked about how fully trusting in God can actually be really scary.
And not striving for perfection and just enjoying the process.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is real juicy, so stay in it. Stay in it. Let's get it. What's up, Bree?
Hello.
Bree in the house for the season finale?
Yes.
Come on.
I was trapped. I literally walked in and then they were like, so how do you feel about being on an episode? And here we are.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Open to it.
How's your week been?
How's my week been? It's been pretty good. I'm no longer doing camps.
Oh, yeah, because that's a summer thing.
Mm-hmm. So I'm working at a before care and after care for school.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been fun, relaxing-ish.
Not as hectic as the summer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's exciting.
Yeah. How's yours?
This week has been good.
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely trying to connect more with God this week because I just feel like I'm in a transitional period.
Mm-hmm.
I think especially coming out of summer and going into the next season. But I was fasting this week, which was nice. But you know, when you be fasting, the devil be trying.
Yeah.
And he was trying.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying in many different forms. A lot of ways that were just trying to test my character.
Mm-hmm.
I would say interactions with other people.
Right.
And it's just a reminder of like, okay, I need you to stay focused.
Mm-hmm.
So didn't fall into those traps. We stayed connected and we're here. A victory.
That's what I love to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a goal for this fast, or is it just something you're doing to simply connect with God?
I think clarity.
Okay.
I wanted to seek clarity in making new decisions and finding new like habit patterns. But I wanted to eliminate certain distractions. And I think for me, it was getting to understand what God was speaking to me. Like I wanted to hear his voice a little more clearly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We talked about that in my small group that we
Really?
had on Thursday. And the topic that we're doing is hearing God's voice and discerning God's voice. And we talked about like a lot of the people, we did like little breakout groups of like 3 or 4. And a lot of the people were like, sometimes I get flustered or confused because I don't know if it's God's voice, the enemy's voice, or just me speaking. And I thought that was so good because we said it in our group with the girls that I was with, and it was enlightening that like everybody else said it as well, because I think that's a big thing, and that's something I wanted to and then we did an exercise that I loved. It was so good. And they did like, everybody close your eyes and listen, and then it was listen to what you hear around you, and then like pick something to just like focus on, and then we moved inward and like, what do you hear inside? And what I heard was my heart beating. I think I was a little like, I was like, what are we doing? Like, it was a little like nerve-wracking. So I heard my heart beating like really fast. So that's kind of what I focused on. And then it said to put an object to that sound or to whatever you hear. And I chose a ball.
Okay.
And I just like, the ball bouncing was like my heartbeat. And then it said, what would it look like to give that to God? And I was like, well, I mean, it's just a ball. So it'd be like pretty easy. Just give it to God. And then it was like eye-opening because I was like, wait, that's my heart, you know, giving your heart to God and like what that really, really looks like. And that's a lot of what I took away from that small group. It was just like being able to hear God is literally giving him your heart and like what that really looks like. And for me, it was interesting because the girl I was with was talking a lot about sometimes we open our Bible and like we go to God with something in mind, like a situation in mind, or like whatever it is in mind when you talk to him, but it's like coming to him with literally an open heart. Like I'm putting away this situation that's on my mind right now. I'm putting away this thought pattern that I have. I'm putting it all away, and I'm just coming to you and opening your word literally just to know you and spend time with you and connect with you. And then when you do that, like he just connects with you, and he just wants your heart, you know, and like that's why we talk to him. And then through all that, when you talk to God, then that's when your identity kind of changes and is able to align with him. And then from there, it's a lot easier to kind of obey what he has.
Yeah.
And versus like sometimes we talk to God, there was a triangle that they use and they drew it out, God at the top and then identity and then obedience. And it goes this way where you talk, you know God, and then through God you find your identity and then you're able to obey him. But a lot of times, sometimes we go from God and then we're like, oh, I know God, now I have to obey him and then I'll know who I am.
Ooh, interesting.
And I love that breakdown because I never really looked at it like that, because sometimes we twist it that way. But I thought it was so good with hearing God's voice and just being able to connect with him with your heart and knowing him. So then it becomes easy to kind of just
Yeah.
live and obey.
That's a real big thing. Because I think that's something that I've always wanted to experience, where it's like, oh, I heard from God. I'm like, what does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
you heard a voice, or like you went with your like your intuition. Like, what does that mean? But I think the more time I've been able to spend with him and get to know who he is and how he loves and that type of thing, I understand what that feels like. And it's not really like a tangible thing that I could express, but I think to say it in like layman's terms, it's like when like I'll go to God and I'll pray, and sometimes I'll just stop venting. Like if I realize I'm just like dumping all my issues, I'll just be like, okay, let me just be still and like listen.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the first words that come to the top of my head, where I'm like, I know they're not coming from me because I'm not pushing to think these words. But I always know it's him when I like the first word that I hear is daughter. You know, where I'll be like, okay, I'm quiet, and then I just hear like daughter, be still, and I'm like, okay. But it's like not a voice. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. But I kind of just let it be downloaded into me, where I'll hear like even this morning, it's just like, daughter, be still. I need you to trust in me. I'm doing something right now. You don't know what it is, but I need you to just trust in it. And it just gives me so much peace. Like I know it's him because I'll feel peace
Yeah.
after I have that interaction.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So can I like what like I feel like a lot of times for me, God speaks very vaguely. You know, it's just like you said, it's like he says, just trust me.
Yeah.
So what do you do, right?
Like,
When
okay,
you're
with
like,
what?
okay, like
does that
what do you
mean?
do with that? Like for you, what does that look like when he says like just trust me? When that I believe I agree, and it's like a peace that you just feel and you're like, okay, I can trust you. But then what do you do when like what is he talking about? Or what
Exactly.
yeah.
I think for me, okay, so this week I was fasting, and with that, I had the devil trying me with certain situations where people were coming at me, and I'm like, okay, character, breathe. Let me give you love, because I'm not gonna chew your head off too. Like we're not gonna do that. So that was one thing. And then the second thing, I was faced with an opportunity where I was like, okay, this sounds like a really great opportunity, but let me take a moment to like pray about it and discern it, so I know that this isn't a ploy coming from the devil because it sounds so good. And let me make sure it's from God. So let me understand what that means. So then literally last night, I was like, God, I pray that you come to like my dreams and kind of show me the answer that you need for me to make for this decision. And in the dream, I saw myself taking this opportunity, and the things that I was kind of like struggling with making this decision, he was saying, you don't need to choose. You can have both. You're not going to know what that looks like. It's not going to be easy. I'm telling you, it's not going to be easy. Like you're going to have different payoffs, but it's something that I'm using to grow you in for the next season.
Yeah.
So he's like, I need you to trust me. And so to answer your question, what that looks like for me is not to plan every single thing out. Like there's a fine line between having goals and setting tasks and stuff like that to get to that goal, but it's literally just taking the next step,
Yeah.
where it's like, I don't even know what you're trying to do. This sounds like a really big shoe to fill, and it's like it's scary, but at the same time, he's like, I don't need you to know what's next. I just need you to take one little step.
Absolutely.
And that's what it is for me.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, and that resonates with me a lot too. Just that, because I feel God, similar to you, like has been just saying, trust me.
Yeah.
Just trust me with everything and who you are. Trust me with your heart. Trust me with your everything, your job, your everything. Just trust me. And I don't know where I was going with that, and I lost my train of thought. But I relate to a lot of what you said. Just and and what that looks like right now, like in the moment, and not what it looks like with every circumstance. You know, just removing yourself from the circumstance, I think has been a big thing for me, because it's not necessarily about that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily that thing
right in front of you.
right.
Yeah.
It's who you are within that thing.
Yeah.
And that's what God looks to. I don't know. That's
Like
what he loves.
yeah.
That's what he loves, and that's what he wants for us, is who we are when we have that. And like preparation for the next season and preparation for that next thing, it all starts right now.
Yeah.
Like with what you have right now, right in front of you, not what you have to do. And I know I get caught up in that a lot. Like with my job or whatever it is, I'm thinking about the next thing. I'm thinking about the next thing. I'm always thinking about the
and
next
that
thing.
robs us from the blessing right in front of us.
Yes.
Because if we're moving and we're always thinking about the next thing, we literally can't take advantage of the present. We can't, not even take advantage, like we can't even soak in the greatness of what we're living in, because we're always on the next step. So then I think that's part of the reason why we're like, oh, time is flying by. Because it's like we're not taking the moment to be present enough to appreciate and have gratitude for what we're living in, even if it's like maybe not the most ideal situation. It is something that's growing us. And if we don't take time to appreciate that, and we're living in the future of like, oh, I can't wait till I get here, I can't wait till I do this and then I'll be happy, it's like, no, figure out how you can be happy with what you have right now. So then you don't feel like your time is being wasted because you're not being grateful for what's happening. You know?
Absolutely. And it's just literally the moment, like right now, you know, like right now, right here, like this conversation, like we'll never be able to have this conversation ever again. Like we could try to recreate it tomorrow and like set everything up the same, but we'll never have like this right here ever again. And I think that's so beautiful and that's so powerful, because like I'm just like I can come here, I'm like, oh, okay, after this I am at my grandma's birthday party, like, oh, I have that, okay, I should get her a present, okay, what am I gonna get her? I'm like, Bree, like, just chill out, like you'll get there when you're there. Right now you're here. Trust God with here. And it's like when I'm thinking about the next and the next, or even the past, and I'm like, oh, this morning I forgot to, I didn't put a pimple patch on her hair. And I was like, I should have done that. And it's just like, yo, like, just trust yourself right here, right now. Trust God right here, right now. And like you said, when you rob yourself of those things, it's like God is just, he's like, what about me? Like right now, when you're thinking about other things that are seemingly like kind of irrelevant right now, like it's like you're not trusting God in the way that you think that you are.
Yeah. I had a thought this morning of what it kind of like what we're talking about now, like what it means to trust God fully. Because I was listening to one sermon or something. He's like, you say you trust God, but do you truly trust him? Like if you still have a doubt in your mind, you're not trusting him. That's of little faith. You have a hole in your faith and that's actually like seeping out. And that's not really trusting in God. So if you say you trust him, you got to really trust him. So I was like, okay, what does that mean? And I just thought back to when I went skydiving for my birthday, because like that was such a pivotal spiritual awakening like moment for me. Because it's like you're jumping out of a plane, right? You're going so far down into this earth and it's terrifying. Like you literally feel like you're falling. And for me, I was like, wow, that's what trusting God feels like. Where he's like, I never said it was going to feel good all the time, that it was going to be easy, that it's just going to be pretty flowers. Like it's terrifying to fully trust into God because you have no control. You have to let go of any limiting fear and you have to fully trust that what he says is going to go. So like in parallel, you're jumping out of this plane and I was thinking like your parachute represents God, right? And me falling represents my faith. So I could jump out of this plane and feel like, okay, maybe the parachute's not going to work. Maybe I might spiral and then we're going to die and like all that stuff. Like that's me having little faith. Where in comparison, I have complete trust that this parachute's going to work. So then I can kind of actually just enjoy the ride. Even though it is scary, I'm still falling. My heart is pumping and I'm like, this is adrenaline. What God was saying to me, he's like, your faith, I need you to fully trust because I'm doing something in your life right now. And as you're falling, you want to like just close your eyes. I was like, listen, I paid like $300 for this. Like,
Right.
we're going to get this in. So he's like, keep your eyes open. I need you
Yeah.
to see the view. I need you to see the bigger picture of what I'm trying to do in your life, because the view is beautiful and you're focused on like this parachute that you can't even see behind you. Like, you're
Right.
worried about the wrong things. I need you to see the bigger picture here and know that I'm going to land you safely. So just let go,
Yeah.
release. And I think from that moment, I was like, listen, I got nothing else to fear in life. And I catch myself when I have like fearful thoughts. I'll be like, listen, you jumped out of a plane and you landed.
Yeah.
You landed
Right.
safely. Like, God got you. He proved to you that moment, like, he got you. So what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. I breathe and I'm like, I jumped out of a plane. We're good. Let's do it. Let's run it, you know?
Yeah.
So like for you, like what does it look like for you to fully trust God? Have you ever had a experience like that? Not like jumping
Not
out of
like
a plane,
yeah. I've
but
never jumped out of a plane. It's on the bucket list. That sounds
okay.
so fun. Have I had an experience? I'm sure I have.
Yeah.
I don't have an experience that comes to mind, but the first thing that came to mind when you asked that question is understanding and receiving literally all that Jesus did. You know, and just knowing that now there's no self, like there's no me. When God sees me, he sees Jesus. And I trust Jesus with everything. Like he did everything that was ever meant to, like he, when he was on the cross, he said it is finished. So it is finished within me too.
Yeah.
So just knowing that that's how God sees me, like there's nothing that I have to do, or there's nothing that needs to get done where I don't do it right or I do it perfectly. It's just the finished work of what Jesus did. That allows me, maybe not, I don't know if that's trust or freedom or both, but it definitely allows a lot of freedom because it's, I don't have to think about, I don't have to think about like anything else. You know, when I really let that resonate in my heart, I'm like, whoa, like God looks at me and just sees perfection because of Jesus. And it's, that brings me a lot of freedom and allows me to just trust him completely with the thing, and trust myself completely with the things that I do. Cause it's like, it's already finished. Like it's already done, you know? Like I feel like that has been a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like a situation in which I had to fully trust him, and just like all of the, I don't know.
There's so many.
There's so many.
So many.
There's so many.
How do you pick one?
Come back to me.
Okay.
I'll get you.
So you talked about like Jesus being perfect and that's living in you, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever struggle with like the idea of perfectionism? Has that ever been a struggle for you?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
What is that like, knowing that you have perfection in you and you're
Yeah.
still struggling to be perfect?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, it's very conflicting. It's like, for me, I want everything that I do to be perfect. You know,
Yeah.
I want to give my best in whatever I do. And if I don't, then I'm like, oh my gosh. And I just like beat myself up or whatever it is. So that's why it's like, when I kind of can get rid of that and just be able to be like, okay, I'm good, it's a big thing. So it's like when I go into, I'm using work as my example. When I go into work and I know that I'm in a good mood, you know, and I'm like, I can talk to these kids and we can connect with these kids and I can teach them their ABCs and it's going to be great.
Cute.
And I know that like that day was amazing. Then I walk away like feeling like I did something, you know. But on the days where I'm like, might be in a bad mood and I walk in and I'm like, okay, I still, you know, it's really not about me right now. It's about these kids and I want to give them all of me, and I want them to have a good day when they walk out of here. I want their life to be changed. When I don't give that and I don't feel like I'm able to give that, it's such a weight on me that I hate, that I really don't like.
Yeah.
Because it's like, at the end of the day, I gave all that I could give.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise I would have gave more. But just that weight is super heavy. You know, so it's just like knowing, being able to receive that thing where you're like, I do have it and I do have it.
Mm-hmm.
Then it is a big thing for me. But it's very conflicting because that's where going back to like that kind of discernment, because it's like God is like, you did it
Yeah.
and you're fine and your heart is in it. And then I'm like, but I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I didn't have a good day and I could have done this and I didn't do it. And the enemy's like, yeah, you didn't, you suck. And
Dang.
that's like terrible. So it's like all like hearing all of that at the same time gets like frustrating for
Yeah.
me. And it's a lot. And that's something that I've been kind of dealing with recently, and just realizing that there's only that one voice is the only voice that matters.
Mm-hmm.
So then how do I silence whatever I have going on so that I can just hear that voice and be able to trust that voice
Yeah.
completely with everything that I have, when he speaks so vaguely, like I was saying, like when he's just
Yeah.
like, just trust me, and you're like, bro, like
I need more.
what, with what?
I need more.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very big. Um, yeah, because those three voices, especially the enemy's voice,
Yeah.
that leads into our voice thinking like we're not good enough,
Yeah.
is real heavy. So it's like, how do you silence those? I don't think that you get to silence them.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the goal. You know, it's like when we grow in our spiritual maturity,
Yeah.
or at least when we're not quite to the point where we want to get, sometimes we think like it's a finite goal for us to get to, where it's like, oh, I don't overthink ever again. I never have a negative thought again. And that's where I want to get to. I don't think that's realistic.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a realistic space to get to. And you're almost like setting yourself up for failure by doing that. I think you get to learn how to maneuver them. I think that's what therapy's taught me. It's like those thoughts are never going to necessarily go away. You just learn how to redirect them.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've been learning and working through too, where it's like, okay, I do have this negative thought, but I'm literally gonna be like, okay, no, we're not gonna sulk in it. We're not gonna fester and like just be in it. Some days, yeah. Some days, if it's raining outside and I get a negative thought, like we're just gonna be in this blanket and like
Right.
chill. But for the most part, especially if I'm like in the middle of doing something and a negative thought comes in, I'm like, okay, no, we're not going to give that attention right now. Let's actually focus on this. Let's actually give a moment of gratitude. Yes, I acknowledge that I'm having this negative thought, but actually, this is not who I am. This is not part of my identity.
Yeah.
So kind of like, it's not that you ignore them, you acknowledge them and you shut them down. So I think there's a difference between just shutting them down, because then you're kind of like brushing it under the rug and it comes back and you're like, okay, I didn't handle this before.
Right.
So now it's heavier. But acknowledging it and then be like, okay, nah, make a choice to be like, nah, we're not doing that.
Yeah. Facts.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know, especially dealing with kids, like
Mm-hmm.
you have to turn it on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially if you like, I only have 20% to give you.
Right.
And we're going to make it through.
Yeah.
I found that it depends on how old the kids are. Because you have like what, 4-year-olds?
4 and 5.
Babies.
During the school year, yeah.
They don't know. They're so cute.
Yeah.
Because I know with me, sometimes I have high school kids and I'll do like a vibe check where like if I'm already in a mood, I'm like, all right, y'all, vibe check. How are we doing?
Right.
And most times they're in the same mood where they're like, oh, we've had such a hard week with finals and I'm stressed. Can we just chill? I'm like, actually, yes, we can.
Yeah.
We can just chill. So like, I know with that, sometimes it works out, but with 4-year-olds, do they get sad?
They do.
They do?
They do, and it's actually kind of wild. Like it's
They have
actually
big emotions.
They have big emotions.
Yeah.
And I work with like I said, the before and after care. So I'm in the morning and afternoon. I spend with like kindergarten through 6th.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Okay.
mostly do second and third grade. So
Okay.
I don't know what age that is, but it's actually surprising the things that they say. Like just kids nowadays.
Yeah.
I feel like they be talking about like, oh, I want to die, and I'm just like,
No.
oh, like this is da 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 da, and I'm like, why are you saying
Why
that?
do you even
Like
know
what?
that's
That's
an
what I'm
option?
saying. And there was this kid the other day, and they one of the kids lost. We were playing banana hockey, and the kid was like mad because something happened, and then they both started screaming at each other, like screaming, and they were both like their face was red and everything, and they were just like screaming, and then I was like, guys, let's relax.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. And then I came in and I talked to one of the kids that I knew a little bit better. And I was like, I forgot what I said. And I was like, we're just going to take a minute and like tell me what's up.
Yeah.
You need to like calm down. And he was like, that's just me. Like, that's just me. That's just who I am when I'm mad. And I was like,
Who
no,
told
it's
you
not.
this?
I was like, no, it's not. Like, you just said it. That's just you when you're mad.
Mm-hmm.
That's not you. I've seen you. You're a good kid.
Yeah.
And like, I've seen like great things in you. So don't like be that.
Mm-hmm.
And I shared that with my therapist, and she was like, you need to take your own advice. And I was like, whoa,
Can we talk about
crazy.
that?
Yeah. So it is crazy. They do feel a lot of things, kids nowadays. And as far as the preschool age, they're just very dramatic. Like, they're super dramatic. Like, everything that they feel is like, and it's like, it's a big thing.
Yeah.
And then just like, and it's an interesting age because they're going to kindergarten next year. So it's like we're kind of getting them ready for that in a way, while also keeping them here, and just like they're in a preschool environment right now.
Yeah.
So it's a lot, but it's fun.
Yeah, they do have big emotions.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna talk about therapy. Because the other day, like, I've been seeing my therapist for like almost a year. I think it's been a year now. But we're at the point now where we just do like monthly check-ins, just like once a month.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she was fed up with me or if she was having a day, but she was like, listen, I'm just going to keep it real with you. Like, you get to a point in your process where your therapist, like, she gave a word for it. I don't know what word she used. It was a big word. It's cute. But she was like, at the start, your therapist is kind of just there for you. We have neutral grounds, and we're not going to give you advice, but we're just going to maybe give you things to challenge you, or like, we're not going to pick a side for you. We'll just give you the tools to make decisions for yourself. I was like, okay, cute. And then she was like, but then once we get to know your personality, like, we've been seeing each other, we get to know each other even deeper.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to start telling you how it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat things anymore, and I'm just going to give it to you. Okay. I'm like, I like that.
Yeah,
please
that's cool.
do that more. But she, the other day, was just reading me. And I was like,
stop.
Clara. I don't know if I can say her name. Maybe we can beep that out in post. But I was like, wait, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And she was like, there's a point where I can tell you exactly what I'm seeing, or I can tell you what I think you think you want me to tell you. I was like, I'd rather you not do that. I'd rather you tell me what it is so I can actually face it and grow from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, girl, she was reading me, and I was uncomfortable by it, but I was like, I need to receive this, and I do receive it. And what now?
Yeah.
And she was giving me challenging questions, and it was just like, what do I do with that? Yeah. So it's like, okay, where am I going with this? When you are challenged with facing yourself and facing your identity and facing your flaws, right? So it's one thing to talk about the devil coming in and giving us these thoughts,
yeah,
right? But when we take accountability for things that we do have the power to change, what is that process? Because she was telling me like it is, and I was like, oh, now I have no choice but to change, because it would just be silly of me to stay the same knowing that I know what I know now.
Exactly.
So have you, like, has she ever read you, your therapist?
I feel like we're still in that first stage that you talked about. Or she's just like, yeah.
Okay, I hear you.
Yeah, no, it's just that. It's a process.
Oh my gosh.
It's a process. Not my therapist, but my boyfriend.
I was gonna say, in relationship. you know?
Like, so he'll tell me what's up, and I'm like, okay, like, relax,
chill out, stop yelling at me.
Yeah, but like, it's so good because I need it, and I'm the type of person, I know I need to get called out.
Yeah,
like, I need to get called out on it, so then I can change it. If I'm not, then I'm like, oh, then I'm cool,
it's fine.
But like, if I get called out on it, then I'm like, okay, now I need to make this change.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, it's literally a process. It's not a one and done thing, and it starts as simple as a decision.
Yeah.
Right. I want to change this about myself. Then the next step, what do I do to get there? And then it's like, for me, it's what do I have to do differently to get there? Because I feel like I'm doing a lot of things right for myself daily. But it's like, okay, clearly that's not getting me where I want to go as far as this goal right here and this decision that I'm choosing to make. So what else do I have to do in order to get there? And then for me, the next part is enjoying that process the best way I can. It's not easy. It's going to be hard, but enjoying the fact that I know that this is for my better and that this is going to lead me somewhere great.
Yeah.
So enjoying that process, and while I'm trying to find things to get me to that goal, don't be so consumed by the goal that you're missing what you're doing. So when I'm doing it, just knowing where my head is and knowing why I'm doing it, setting an intention when I begin doing it, but then being able to enjoy it and receive it fully for what it is, and letting that process kind of take over and do all that it's supposed to do to get you there. But
It's ugly.
it is.
It's so ugly.
It is.
Because you're essentially like unlearning
Yeah.
the way that you have been living your life.
Yeah.
You almost have to like undo everything that's familiar.
Yeah.
And maneuver different. Like you said, what can I do differently?
Yeah.
And that differently is scary because you're now going into the unknown.
Exactly.
Where it's like, now I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to react. I don't know how this new decision is going to make me feel. And that might spiral into something else. But I think the one thing that we can hold on to in all these differences and these different decisions is our anchor. We have to be so grounded and so rooted in our foundation, which for me, for you probably is Christ.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps your boat centered.
Yeah.
It's funny that you said make different decisions because that's what my therapist was chewing at me at. She was like, if I'm a share, I don't know who this helps, but she was like, you get stuck in toggling different decisions and sometimes you run them by other people to see if you can make a decision based off what somebody else is bringing to you. So much so that you don't actually make a decision for yourself. You're actually making decisions that other people are saying is good for you. Yeah. And then you end up not liking that decision because you actually didn't make it from your heart. You made it because you brought it to all these other people and their opinions are filtering into your own decision, which isn't actually your decision. I was like,
that's
wait a
huge.
second. She's like, so then you get stuck and then you get upset because that's not what you wanted.
Yeah.
So she's like, I want you to start small and make little decisions. Whether it's, hey, where are we going to eat? I don't know. Where are you going? No, say where you want to go to eat. And that's actually big for me because I'll be like, I honestly don't know what I want to eat. I don't know. You make the decision and I'll be fine with it. Right.
Yeah,
So she's like, start there.
Yeah.
Where it's like, seek inside of you to see what you're actually in the mood to eat. Make little decisions like that. And then she's challenging me. She's like, well, what happens when you make little decisions? I was like, I get my power back. And she's like, yeah, you start to own who you are.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right.
That is
you right.
That's huge. I
like,
love that.
Don't do that. I mean, do that. I want you to do that. But like, oh, now I'm uncomfortable because here I am thinking I am making my own decision. She's like, you kind of are.
So much. Yeah, right.
You literally kind of are.
Exactly.
I was like, oh wow. So yeah, it's like making those decisions and standing on them is scary.
Yeah.
Because now if you make a decision, oh, this is the other thing. She's like, you get scared to make a decision because you feel like you might be afraid if you make the decision and regret it later.
Right.
So then you look at the other one and be like, oh, I don't know if I'll regret that one either. So you're kind of going back and forth.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. She's like, you need to pick your scary. Either one is going to be scary. Either way you go. So pick your scary and do it.
I like that.
I was like, dang, girl.
Okay.
You got me.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's big. That's really big. The image that came to my head when you were like, where you're unlearning like your old things.
Yeah.
Is like, you remember that episode of SpongeBob?
Which one?
Where he had like the green part on his back. It was kind of like a newer-ish episode.
I don't know.
But it's like he had, you know, the sponges that have like the green part on the back so you can like scrub the like, stuff. SpongeBob had that on his back. And it was like really mean to everybody. And he was like, you know, SpongeBob's so nice and everything. But that part of him was so mean and it was yelling at everybody. And then...
Wait, I don't think I've seen that one. That's actually kind of a brilliant idea, though.
But it was so good because, like, at the end they had to rip it off, and they were like, "SpongeBob, this isn't you," and like, I was like, "Dang, like SpongeBob got some layers." But like, that's what I came to my head when you were talking, because it's like almost you're literally ripping off that part of yourself.
Yeah.
That's not you. It's literally not you, even though it's been there for so long. it's not who you are, not who you actually are, especially for where you are and where you're going and what you're trying to do and who you're trying to become. So it's like ripping that thing off is gonna hurt because it's weird and it's new, but it's for your good, you know, essentially. Ooh. I feel like you have something.
We can take that spiritual.
Yeah.
Because that part of him, essentially, if SpongeBob is good, he represents the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
SpongeBob represents the Holy Spirit, right? And then that scribbly part might be the devil. That might be like his bad side. Right? To rip it off, there's going to be resistance because it's already been attached to him. So it's not going to be, let me just take it off. It's like, no, I'm really, like, the enemy is fighting to keep that on you. Because he doesn't want you to be that nice version, that one that brings light to everybody. He doesn't want you to thrive in that spirit. So it's like, oh wow, if I think about it like that, I'm able to walk in my light a little differently, knowing that, like, hey, I am shedding off this part of me that's not actually part of me. I am rebuking this spirit that's maybe been in my family for a while, but I don't receive that anymore. So in Jesus' name, I rebuke this spirit off of me. And because I'm sure for SpongeBob to rip that off, was it him ripping it off or somebody else ripped it off?
I don't remember. I think somebody else did.
Okay, so maybe like the Holy Spirit came in and was like, let me help you. Let me help rip this off. Somebody on SpongeBob's side, the good side, had to rip this off because, like, no, this isn't you. Yeah. Just like you did with that kid. You're like, this isn't you. I know you. Yeah. You're God. This is the kid. I know you. This isn't you. Don't claim that for yourself.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that's facts. That's good.
Come on, SpongeBob.
That's SpongeBob for you. SpongeBob got some layers, man.
Oh, really?
I love SpongeBob. Something came to my head when you were talking, and I don't remember what it was. What do you think, like, for you, as of right now, what is something that you're trying to rip off from yourself?
Oh, Lord. I feel like I'm trying to rip off a lot. If I could put it into words, my self-doubt. Trying to rip that off.
Dude, same.
Because I understand that it is hindering me. Yeah. Because, like, I have goals. I have this vision of this version of myself that I can see very clearly. But there's something in me that doubts that I can attain that. And I don't necessarily show it, but I feel it. Yeah. And I think that hinders me in my everyday conversations, patterns, decisions, for sure. That is like, I will do just enough that's comfortable so that I feel like I'm getting there. But am I actually getting myself out of my comfort zone? Am I actually ripping that side of me off? Or am I, like, low-key accepting it? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That makes 100% sense.
Like, I'm still processing what that means. But this is part of, like, why I wanted to fast, because I feel that separation of, okay, this is who I am. This is who you say I am, God. But I also have this part of me that's trying to stop me from getting there. Yeah. So I need your clarity. I need you to remind me of who you think I am, who you say I am, I should say. So that I can know how to face that version that's trying to hold me back and be like, nah, we're moving this way.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah. Low-key, like, doubt has been a big. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I shout out to all the therapists. Like, I keep going back to my therapist, but I was telling her about it, and I was like, it was called, like, what's your hiding place? Ooh. And there was, like, everybody has, like, their own, like, hiding place. And then she was like, what's of course, you know, your hiding place should be God, right? So you know you're safe and all that good stuff. But it's like, what was yours? And mine was doubt. And I was like, I always, like, when, like, if God gives me a word, I'm like, oh yeah, but what if, like, you know, but, like, how is that gonna happen? Or, like, what if I'm not called for that, like, for real? Like, what if this is, like, what if this is from me? What if this is something I'm coming up with? Like, what if this isn't you? And it's like that so much. It's like, that's not faith. Yeah. That's not faith. Not. Like, if God says it, that's it. You know? So it's like, when I hear that thing, when I doubt it, it's literally me questioning myself and questioning God. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, if God is perfect and he's telling you you're enough, and you're called for this.
Why are you doubting
What
him?
am I doing? Like, literally, what am I
Oh.
doing? And then it's like, when I step into it, then even though I'm like, yeah, like, I know I'm called for this, there's still that doubt.
Yeah.
So then I walk in like,
I guess I'm supposed to be
yeah,
here.
like, hey guys, we're about to do this. But it's like, that consumes you. It can consume you, because it's like you're robbing yourself of everything that God has for you in that.
Yeah.
So it's like, that is so big, and being able to rip that off, like, what does that really look like? Can you say that doubt will go away, like, be gone from your life?
I don't know if gone is the word. I
Yeah.
feel like the percentile drops,
Okay.
maybe. I saw a post with Oprah talking about how she still has fears and doubts.
Yeah.
And I think it was on one of her talk shows, like her one with Michelle Obama, I think.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, I got
Love
nervous
them.
before I came out here. And she was like, you get nervous? She's like, I am Oprah, but yes, I do get nervous still. I still have fearful thoughts. I'm like, even Oprah has fearful thoughts?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oprah.
So yeah, go ahead.
So I think like the answer is no.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop. It doesn't go away. But it's a matter on, am I going to let this override me? Because like I could either give the devil a W or I could give God the W.
Okay.
So am I going to give the win to doubt or am I going to give the win to faith?
Yeah.
And that's the question you face.
Yeah. So it's just letting that, whatever it is, consume you.
Tay's over here painting her nails. I'm like, I smell nail polish.
I was looking at you and I was looking at Tay.
I smell so potent right now. I love it. Come on, clear coat.
Cute. Hey, what was that thing? Oh yeah, just like, so it's okay. So not letting it consume you, right? Is essentially the goal, more than I want this thing to be gone, whatever it is. And that goes back to trusting God and trusting and having faith that He's who He says He is, and you're who He called you to be in everything, all the time. So the goal being not to let that take over and stop you from doing all that you're doing, but letting God do His thing through you.
Bars.
Yeah.
My brain was processing an analogy.
Okay.
And she was
saw your,
speaking. I was like, it was going. I was like, okay. Let me paint a visual here. It's raining outside. That's the visual. It's raining outside. You can do one of two things. You can be gloomy about it because it's raining outside, where you're like, oh, I had this umbrella and my feet still got wet, and I hate when it rains. Why is it raining? Rain, go away. That's one. Or two, you can like literally just run outside in the rain and dance in it and like catch the raindrops in your mouth and just like be okay with, okay, it's raining. Maybe I'm getting refreshed. Maybe it's washing away like the dirt on the ground and like it's being renewed.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the fact that it's raining. It's still raining. It's just the way that you view the rain. It could either be a burden or it could be a refresh.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of the way that we can channel our thoughts.
Yeah.
Or channel that doubt.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, this doubt could be a burden. Like, I don't know if I'm good enough.
Yeah.
Or it could be like, okay, this is an opportunity because I know the devil's coming at me. That means I know something good is next. So let me be glad that I have this doubt because I know that God has a glory coming right around the corner.
Yeah.
Like it's literally next door. So let me walk into it. Like using that doubt as like a sign, a signal to be like, okay, I'm starting to get scared now. That means God has something big coming. Let me walk into this.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And as you were talking, it reminded me of something I wrote down the other day. And I said that the harder the enemy tries, the weaker he gets. Because the harder he tries, the stronger that I get. Because I'm being built.
Yeah.
You know, when he comes and he tries to attack you and tries to whatever, it's like really he's making you stronger.
Yeah.
So it's like taking that and shifting that perspective. Like, let me use this. You know, like let me use this as a ladder instead of a hammer for myself. And then switching that perspective. So like, I'm getting higher. I'm doing better. I'm getting somewhere. I'm not being beat down.
Right.
I'm getting built up.
Ooh.
And I'm going to go up.
That's that idea of like, compared to being punished, you're being corrected. Like you're being built.
Yeah.
Like you said. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good.
That is good.
Good stuff.
That's juicy. Real juicy.
Yeah. I like
Ooh.
that.
So this portion of our show is called Questions from the Audience, where we answer questions from our audience. And today we have our my co-host, Calvin, and he's going to ask us some questions.
C, I am.
C.
So my first question is, you were talking about therapy a lot.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's on the fence, number one, about going to therapy, can you just speak to how it's helped both of you? And then the other thing is, what are some signs for people who may not know that they need therapy
Ooh.
or that that's a resource that they should look into?
Yeah.
What are some signs they can look for in themselves?
Loaded question.
Very.
Okay. Repeat. Repeat the first one.
Just talk about your experience with therapy for anybody who's on the fence about it.
Got it.
Okay.
Therapy is the second best thing that's happened in my life. First thing was God saving me. I think therapy for me has been an outlet for me to speak openly with somebody who's not going to have a bias. Because you can talk to your best friend, you can talk to your mom, whoever it is, but they're always going to have a bias because they have your best interests at heart because they know you. So they might subconsciously just give you advice rather than just listening.
Yeah.
And the therapist has been a listening tool for me. It's been a listening tool that I can kind of say what I'm thinking and reflect as I'm speaking, and she bounces back different ideas that maybe I wasn't thinking about and different tools that'll help me process what I'm feeling in a proactive way. Because usually sometimes even if I'm just journaling, I might go down into like a rabbit hole and be like, oh, everything sucks, right? But my therapist will kind of bring me back. And if I could say, your therapist is a mirror reflection. She holds up a mirror to you so that you can see yourself, not as a place of shame, but as a place of growth.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, this is what you're giving right now. You have the option to grow. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel awkward at first. Because I think literally one of the first practices we did, she was like, okay, I want you to stand up, go into that mirror right quick and repeat after me. I forgive myself for blank. And you say the rest of that sentence. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm with a stranger and I'm crying right now.
An icebreaker.
All right. I'm like, now you know me. Okay, I'm vulnerable. But that vulnerable state is so crucial and critical to your growth.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with a lot of it. It's just like your therapist is like a person where you can kind of dump everything out onto an actual person. That's what I said. Like journaling is like super big to just kind of get everything out, but it's like to say it to an actual person makes it so much more real. Yeah. Where you can like hear yourself say it. And sometimes hearing yourself say it and you're like, wait, that wasn't, I don't like that, like, and being able to their only objective is to see you grow and to see you get better. So being able to talk to them, knowing that they're going to listen, they're going to hear you, and they're going to want you to do better without forcing you to do better, but simply challenging your thoughts to be like, what if you looked at it like this? Or what if you, or my therapist is Christian and it's through my church. Yeah. So it's like, does this align with God? Does this really align with God? So it's just to challenge your thinking and being able to get everything out in a place where you're kind of safe. Yeah. In a way. So yeah.
Even in a parallel, especially having a Christian therapist, they can point you to God and also kind of like highlight his voice in your struggle or your circumstance, whatever you're going through. Because she does the same with me. Yeah. She's like, okay, like with your faith, like what is that helping you? Or is that tearing you down? I'm like, oh. Well, I don't know. Let me dig into that. She's like, yeah, let's talk next time. And like, I take the next 2 weeks to like think about it. But it kind of helps parallel the voice that God is speaking to us because it brings us back into the light. Yeah. Rather than I'm in a dark place. Tell me why everything sucks. She's like, why is everything good?
Yeah. And even outside of having a Christian therapist, I feel like all therapists help you see the light and help you see a better part of it. So it's not, I mean, look, I'm so grateful I have a Christian therapist to just know we share the same beliefs, but it's like they're always going to lead you to a light and to a better place. And I love that they give you homework, to kind of go, okay, be like, so here's your challenge this week to walk through. And then it's like, you're kind of intentional about the next week or however long you have.
Absolutely. That time. So if you're on the fence about therapy, highly recommend. 10 out of 10 recommend.
100%.
Did we answer your second question? What was it again?
So the second part was just what are some signs people can recognize within themselves that they might need to try therapy out? or maybe even with yourself? Like, what did you see?
I realized I wanted to do therapy or try therapy for the first time when I felt like I could confide in people, but I didn't feel comfortable sharing everything. That just comes from me like not knowing how to tap into my vulnerable side. Where it's like, great, I can say this to my sister, but it's like I don't feel like I can really tap all the way in.
Yeah.
I couldn't empty out my tank. So it was like I felt like I needed somebody to talk to. And it's not even a bad thing. Like therapy has
No.
such a bad stigma, I guess, of like, oh, if you have a therapist, you have bad mental health. And it's like, no, that is mental health.
Yeah.
That is like going to a doctor. You don't go when you're sick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
When
you
you're
do
healthy.
when you go when
Yeah.
you're sick, but like you also go to get checkups. You make
Yeah.
sure you're on the right track. So it's not that you have bad mental health. You need to be in an insane asylum. Like
Yeah.
you're sick.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this is how I process this is my health.
Yes,
You know?
exactly. I think if you're thinking about therapy, just go.
Yeah.
Like if it's a thought in your head, like maybe it's something I want to try, then go.
Do it.
I think that's like if it's a thought, then you should go for it. I think because I think I have been in therapy before this, but it was like because like my parents wanted me to go to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool, but I didn't really get all that I wanted from it because it wasn't my own decision.
You have to want to go.
You have to want to go. So if you have that inkling of like maybe I should go, then go.
Yeah.
Take the first step and then just see how it goes. Like just see how it goes.
I also feel like if you say I don't need therapy,
Yeah.
you need therapy.
Yeah.
For those people, it's like, no, I don't need therapy. You're the one who needs it.
Yeah.
So you should think about that again.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's
Not
not a
at
bad
all.
thing.
Not at all.
All right. This next question comes from somebody whose name backwards is
Stop.
not huge. Anyway, what are some practical steps one can take to achieving higher self-confidence and turning down the volume of self-doubt?
Therapy. I'm just kidding.
There. Everything points to therapy.
Yeah. Say it one more time.
What are some practical steps one can take to achieving higher self-confidence and turn down the volume of self-doubt?
I think doing what makes you happy. You know, finding something that makes you genuinely happy and kind of pursuing that any chance you get. You know, I feel like that definitely brings you a sense of confidence because you're more happy when you do it. So I think that is something you can do, and finding some type of hobby, something like that, to just boost your confidence and make you feel a little bit better about yourself. Yeah.
I agree. I agree 1,000%. To piggyback off that, I'm reading this book called The 12-Week Year, where it's talking about like being essentially, instead of having a whole year to accomplish things where you feel like, oh, I got time, and then you procrastinate, it crunches your year into 12 weeks. So then now your weeks are now a month. So you're more intentional with the time that you have in your month, which is only a week.
Yeah.
But it was talking about you gain confidence when you start to do the things that you said you were going to do, when you back your words with action. Not even just like being about your word, but if you're like, hey, I want to go and do this thing today. Like, I really want to go to the library and sit down for an hour and just read a book because I know that's going to help my peace. And if you brush it off, then there's something in your brain that dissociates your own trust with yourself. And that starts to wither into your own doubt where it's like, oh, I can't even trust myself. I don't even hold true to my own word.
Yeah.
So then you start to go into this place of like, oh, I'm not who I say I am because I said I was going to do this and I didn't.
Yeah.
So I was talking about like your confidence is also coming from being about what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
And those little things build up on your self-efficacy as well.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. That's a good one.
You guys want one more?
Yeah.
All right,
Keep it going.
When dealing with others, especially those you care about, how do you toe the line between when to compromise and when to stand your ground?
The word I hear is boundaries. It's hard when you're dealing with people that you care about because especially when you switch up your standards and you start to put a line where that didn't used to be there, it's uncomfortable for them as well because they're familiar with your old self. So it's like for you to be like, hey, don't talk to me like that anymore.
Yeah.
And you're like, I've been talking to you like this your whole life. What are you talking about? I'm going to keep talking. Like they don't respect it
Yeah.
per se sometimes. But standing on it is where your confidence again comes in, where it's like, no, I'm going to put my foot down. And I said what I said. You need to respect me. And it doesn't have to be that stern. Like that was kind of aggressive, or not aggressive, but like super. You have to be assertive. Like
Yeah.
you have to be assertive and be like confident in it. Because if you're like, hey, don't talk to me like that, and they're like, no, what are you talking about? Like I'm still talking to you like that, and you're like, all right, well, I tried. Yeah, I guess you'll just keep talking to me. It's like, all right, little punk, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah.
it's gonna be uncomfortable conversations at first. But I think once you get on the same page of like, I need you to respect me because I'm growing in this other area. I'm trying to release this part of myself that I don't want to associate with anymore. Like if, especially if they love you and you know them, they know, they know you. I think the fear is that they won't accept you anymore.
Yeah.
But if they're truly close to you enough, they will. And I think that's the fear that we create as an illusion of like, if I stand up for myself, they're not going to support me anymore. Where that might be true, but 99% of our fear isn't actually real. Like it won't ever happen.
Yeah.
So it's not real. It's an illusion.
Yes.
Just stand in it.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yes, I do. That was a great answer. And I agree 100%. I don't have too much to add to that.
Oh, okay.
I agree for sure. I love that answer.
Good answer. Good answer.
Good answer, Steve.
Okay.
Oh.
You intro it.
Hey guys. This is the part of our podcast that we do SOS, scripture on the spot. And you get 1 minute to have a sermon. You're going to get a topic and a word.
Okay.
And the things are going to come from people in the audience.
There we go.
Yeah.
We winging these sermons, y'all.
All right, who's going first?
Kiana.
Oh,
Keys going first.
dang. All right, you close it out. You close it out then.
Oh, no.
All right, your topic is candy,
Mm-hmm.
and your word is disgusting.
Disgusted.
Disgusting.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay. You can
Candy
do
and
that.
disgusting.
All right. We can do it. Julian likes this one. Candy fiend.
That's a good one. You can do that.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready? Timer. And 3, 2, 1. All right. Topic is candy. Candy, especially growing up, we love it.
Yeah.
It's filled with sugar, and that sugar becomes addictive. And so, anytime we eat candy, we associate it with good times. We associate it with fun and joy and all those good things. Especially as a kid, where you may not have the wisdom to know when enough is enough. You might just go and eat your entire goodie bag that you got for your birthday or something, or even Halloween if you guys do Halloween. You might just want to eat the entire thing and not know your limits. That's when our parents come in and say, hey, it's been enough because this isn't good for you. It's not good for your tummy. Your tummy's going to hurt, and you're also going to rot your teeth. That's kind of like the way God approaches us. He approaches us with love and gentleness, where he's like, hey, that thing right there, it feels good, but only in moderation. Because the more that you eat it, if you eat too much of it, it's going to start to taste disgusting.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we have to see the things in life that gets taken away from us. It's not necessarily bad. We just don't need so much of it all the time.
Yeah. That was good.
That was a nice one.
That was a good one. I like that.
All right. Your subject is nails,
Nails.
Okay.
and the word is dirt.
Ooh,
Okay. Nails and dirt. Nails and
nice.
dirt. Nails and dirt. Okay. All right. So, I am a person who loves to have their nails done. And you go to the nail salon, every month or so to get your nails done. And you want to look cute. You want to look nice. You want to have yourself look put together. And you get many different colors and all that good stuff. And the reason that you get your nails done is because you want to have a certain confidence about you and you want to feel good about yourself and what you do. But when you take those nails off, okay, and you begin to walk in kind of your bare self without those nails, sometimes dirt gets under your nails and it does not look good. It does not look good. But now that you don't have those fake nails on anymore, it's up to you to get a file and to get under them nails and to scoop the dirt out from under your nails. And that's what we have to do with ourselves sometimes, is just come bare to ourselves and trust ourselves that we can get the right tools, which is God and the Bible, and get under there and scoop out all the dirt.
Dang, that was a good one. Okay. She said, once you take them nails off, because listen, that's real. You take them nails off,
You're
you're like, oh gosh, what are these nubs?
Yeah, for real. Man,
Wow. Wow. Wow, what a good final epi.
that was fun.
High five. Girl power.
Loved it.
Aw. Well, you guys, this wraps up season 3. Wow.
Season 3, that's crazy.
We're almost at a
Wow.
year, you guys. It's almost our birthday.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
That is.
So definitely catch us in season 4. We definitely got some exciting stuff coming for y'all still. And as always, let us know how you're enjoying the podcast, how it might be blessing you, and share with your friends. Share it with
Yes.
your loved ones.
Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Christ Culture Podcast, TikTok at Christ Culture Podcast, and on Facebook at Christ Culture Podcast. Join our Facebook group. We are growing in the community and fellowship, and it's a great safe place for all of us to talk to one another. So definitely tap into that for sure.
Yes, y'all. Well, it was nice rocking with you. We'll see ya in season 4.
Whoa! Peers.
Thank you guys for watching Christ Culture, the podcast. If this resonated with you, make sure to share it.
Yeah, go follow us on Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and leave some comments. We want to hear from you guys this season.
Definitely join in the conversation because we'd love to stay connected with y'all.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
See ya.
Peace.